Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nonsense fans all over the world. My name's Robert Huddleston, and today we're going to try to not get my channel nuked. Um, Channels are getting nuked for simply speaking the Lord's truth. So I'm gonna try to speak it in plain English, but plain English is dangerous these days. So if I have to use a little metaphor and a little illusion, you're intelligent. I'm sure you can follow me. White supremacy. Maybe if you turn on Joe Biden, he's going to tell you that white supremacy is our biggest issue. And he'll reference the insurrection that didn't involve a single gun at the Capitol building. All white supremacists, right? Well, we can do a little research now. We can see that they were all paid actors. Q Shaman's a paid actor. One guy, literally the black guy there, is a known associate ringleader of BLM and Antifa, and he was paid between CNN, NBC, and ABC like $75,000 to go there and get footage. I mean, he was obviously there to agitate. So that's not the root of our white supremacy problem. Go back to the Trump administration. I don't think I ever heard him mention not even disparage white people. He certainly didn't praise white people. He didn't acknowledge white people existed. He acknowledged the strength and progress and all the things he was doing for every other demographic, but not white people. Yet he was and not one. If you have footage out there, send it to me. He was the president of white supremacy. Okay, well, this nonsense didn't start there. Let's take a way step back. We're going to have to go back in history. All the way back to, I believe, 2017. Dan Carlin, History Dick, was talking to another super history dick, Mike, God bless him. I'm butchering Mike. Mike Duncan. Mike Duncan is the preeminent expert on Rome, specifically the pre-Civil War, fall of the Republic, rise of the Empire period. He says, why is that so interesting? Well, if you just jump into Julius Caesar, you're jumping into the third act of a play, and there's no context. So he goes back and breaks down how Rome got to that place. Then him and Dan play a game where they compare the path of Rome with the path of America. And they say, is America a fledgling colony founded by pirates and outcasts? No, we're past that. Is it a fledgling oligarch state founded by powerful aristocrats? No, like that was George Washington. That was our revolution. Are we in the stage of like the Samnite Wars when Rome conquered all the land mass around it? No, we're past the manifest destiny stage. What about when Rome beat Carthage and conquered Greece and became the main superpower of the Mediterranean? No, but we did that. We won World War II. We won the Cold War. We're our world's preeminent superpower. They're like, all those parallels exist. Then they say, are we to the place where a generations-long civil war can give rise to a military dictator who will eventually become emperor? They're like, no, we're not there yet. That's simply not true. Now, I don't know if they just don't realize. I can't imagine. They're both not idiots. I imagine at that point they're compromised. They're paid to say, no, of course not. That's not happening. We are most certainly in the throes of a generation-long civil war. You didn't know you were in a war. You didn't know that. That's okay. You're a nobody with no power and a faulty education. It was your kindness that was mistaken for weakness. Your willingness to just go along and get along and recognize others as equals and not see the differences of the past. The other side was hanging on. They were hanging on viciously and bitterly to every slight that had ever been done in all of antiquity. Now, no one today was ever a slave. There are slaves today. No one in America proper was ever a Civil War slave. Very few people even lived under Jim Crow at this point. But my father, white guy, he grew up in a home with no electricity. He grew up in a home with no running water. He didn't enjoy indoor plumbing till he got drafted to Korea. So, my people don't come from generations of privilege. Most white peoples don't come from generations of privilege. They're just people. I'm not sure when it began. The people that do control the media, they're all from a certain tribe in the Middle East, and it's not Muslims. Unfortunately, I think they have the exact same plan for the blacks. It's just they're using us against one another. But the blacks are falling for it. So I don't know what to say at this point. And a lot of whites have decided, and dare even use the term white. Are you German? Polish? Italian? I'm Frisian and Cherokee. British? Welsh? In get particular? Okay, so white can be a pejorative just like you're Nigerian, Congolese, Cameroonian. Black can be a these are corporate designations. But that's where the line's been drawn. All your life you've had to check white non-Hispanic. So most of my fellow whites, here's white supremacy for you. Most of my fellow whites are not supreme, and I don't claim them. Most white people are fat and lazy and worthless and prepared to, over social pressure, turn on people who they know, people who look just like them, people who share their culture, to get an ounce of virtue, an ounce of moment in that bullshit internet sunlight for a black person or an Asian person or a BIPOC woman. So am I just rambling about racism? No. A couple of things happened. I was a young man when Ice Cube became a big thing. See white kids with Ice Cube all over the t-shirts. Ice Cube gets movie deal after movie deal. Ice Cube allegedly goes into, according to his own movie, into Jerry Heller's office, a very powerful Jewish record executive, and smashes up his room, smashes up his walls, smashes up his life over some money that was owed to a 22-year-old. And this made the movie, and we're supposed to believe that happened. Yes, I'm sure a powerful Jewish executive let a young black street kid come in and just beat his room up with a baseball bat. I'm sure that was Jerry Heller's idea to put that in the movie. Then we get Ice Cube a few years later, or we get him in a couple other movies. We really get him in a movie called Higher Learning, where white dorky preppy kid gets into it with black girl on the phone, calls her black bitch. Next thing you know, Ice Cube, who's fat, let's be honest, they've tried to sell him like he's Triple X, I think he played one of the movies in. Like he's some danger. So in rolls the 5'9", 230-pound Ice Cube, and beats the whole party up and puts the guy down on his knees and makes him apologize to the beautiful black princess. I'm so sorry, I'll never disrespect black women again. I never saw a white guy do that on film. I mean, I'm sure there's movies out there, but like I remember Higher Learning was on NBC in 1995 when I was a kid. 96 tops, because it came out in 95. So I remember being a kid at my aunt's house watching this like, wow, Ice Cube beat your ass if you talk bad about a black girl. Ice Cube puts out album after album talking about how disgusting white women are. Tupac Shakur, raised by a Black Panther, hates white people, not a gangster, professional dancer. And what do I look? There's white kids with Are You Still Down in the Midwest. White families lining up to go see Ice Cube in some family-friendly movie. And I'm like, this guy hates you and your children. Right? What happens when Mel Gibson said something racist? He went away for 10 years. He had to start bankrolling his own movies. Ice Cube puts out racist album after racist album after racist album, and he just continues to get promoted by the system. It's which direction the racism goes in. Very recently, this racism, like I said, my whole life, it's been black guys will beat you up, black guys dance better, black guys hump better, black guys know more because they grew up hard on the street. I'm 36. I imagine I was probably 21. I was in the local capital, a big city. I was on the rough street in the hood, but it runs through town, called South Grand. And this is not a tough guy story. I'm not a tough guy. The people from my hometown, they're all tough guys. I'm not. This is just a for example. Car pulls up to us, like 6 black dudes in it, and they're all going, just staring. Every head turned, just staring for like 30, the whole time of red light. And finally I'm like, fuck are you looking at? Oh, they all start running their mouths and looking around, and various cuss words start coming from the car. Now my homeboy, who normally would have jumped out of the car first, he's so wild he's dead, says, hey man, my baby's in the back seat. And I'm like, all right, bro, you just drive down the road. I'm going to get out and you meet me down that parking lot. I hop out the car, all the windows roll up, that car peels off. They didn't shoot me. The 5 of them, the 6 of them, there's a car full, didn't get out and beat me up. I jumped up and said, hey, fuck you. They sped off. I'd have done it to a car full of white guys. I'd have done it to a car full of Mexicans. The lesson is, TV taught me my whole life that if you look sideways at a black person, they're going to kick your door in at your party in front of all your friends and put you down on your knees and make you respect the beautiful black princess and pledge to never do it again. Damn, it's like that one caught on or something. Getting down on your knees for black people. So now we're here in, 2021. I can look back and Ice Cube got to go on, and the star they chose for black culture got to go on and make movies. Dr. Dre got to do the Beats deal. Kurt Cobain shot himself in the head. Now again, I don't think either one of those characters, Ice Cube or Kurt Cobain, made it on their own or even particularly talented. They were the actors put into place. But one actor got to go on and have a lifelong series. The other actor that white kids looked up to, they shot him in the head and said he did it. They probably talked him into it, let's be honest. What's the moral of the story? Here real recently, there was, I believe, a principal or he was a principal in New York. And he sent out to all his students a pamphlet. And it said, rate your whiteness on a color scale of like moderate to severe. Rate your family's whiteness. And encouraged the students and the families to be white traitors and to be a part of dismantling white institutions. Okay, traitor is the word you use in a conflict or a war when someone switches sides. So the mainstream is now, the system is now acknowledging there's a war. And mind you, this is a white guy that did it, a fat white dude. Again, I don't claim him. He wants to give your children propaganda to make them hate themselves and hate you and turn against you if you don't feel that way. I think we're at war, folks. I've kind of seen it coming my whole life. My dad would be 93 this year. He said to me when I was 15, as we're watching the news and postulating which war, and he wasn't correct about the next war. The next war was with Iraq. His time was off, but he said, next war you'll see will be between the whites and the blacks. And I'm like, Dad, that's poppycock. We're way past that. Like, interracial dating, rap music. I mean, you watch the NBA all the time. He's like, no, I promise you, look around. It'll be between the whites and the blacks. Well, here we are. You watch the NFL. I happened to watch the Super Bowl this year because I don't watch football. I wanted to see the Grabble. Went and bought CBS All Access just to see the nonsense. And it was one criminal after another painted on the helmets. One Black Lives Matter commercial using all of these social justice warrior earworm buzzwords. One shit on white people, another. One of the commercials even had a fat white guy being like, "Oh, I apologize for mansplaining." I don't claim him. Blacks, you can have him. Puerto Ricans, take him. South Americans, he's all yours. So, what does any of this mean? It's hard to shout a rally call that doesn't sound like you're a Nazi. Especially when most people don't even realize that this is taking place. It's been such a slow burn. I see white kids that only have degenerate black role models. They only look up to Dr. Dre. They only look up to Cube or Pac. And it's like these guys weren't even good at what they did. They were just puppets. And all they did was give you horror and disinformation. They'll probably get me banned. What's the next move? Stop sending your kids to school. Turn off the damn TV. How do you, when you didn't even realize you were being indoctrinated, how do you unravel that indoctrination? How do you peel back that layer where you're like, wait, I'm not a racist. But now how do I defend racism that I didn't even do? Here's a wonderful example. Several years back, I was 30. My wife was 45. We were in culinary school together. Young black girl who was 19 literally got her homework did by my wife every night on the phone. She would call my wife up and be like, I can't do this. And my wife sat and did her homework via the phone every night. Till finally we were in the second semester. It's like, I can't keep doing this. So she kind of had to cut her off. But no time later, in the class, it was a young Mexican kid, real Mexican, like Jaime. And he made no bones that half his year was spent in Mexico and half was spent in America. One day he starts talking about the intricate knowledge of tomato purchase at a Mexican restaurant. My wife, though he had never mentioned working in a Mexican restaurant, though he was Mexican, we're all in culinary school, she says, oh, did you work in a Mexican restaurant? And this black girl, who my wife literally got through school, turns and says, racist? Well, next thing you know, my wife's down there explaining herself to the big fat pussy who runs the school. Shout out Chef Tucker. He's this big fat no hack that can't cook. My wife's down there explaining to him that I just got called a racist. It ended up turning into a huge fight. And this girl's like, what's the problem? Well, you did the worst thing you could do. You accused someone of what is, in our up or down society, the as bad as it can get. Like, the only thing worse than being called a racist is being called a child molester. And you screamed, racist? I'm sure she failed out after my wife continued to not do her homework. That's the world we live in. Do someone's homework and you're a racist. Don't be anti-racist and you're a racist. Don't tear down white institutions and you're a racist. No one's looking to embrace the R word here unless it's Robert, right? Robert's the only R word anybody's looking to embrace. But nobody likes getting hit with that label over and over again, especially when they never upheld a Jim Crow law. They never called anybody a racial slur. They never kept anyone from getting a job. They never owned a slave. If you've never done any of those things, and you get called colonizer, Nazi, you get told, because you're white, your voice doesn't count. And I mean, if any of this sounds like nonsense, go on Twitter and look up white genocide, white extinction, white people. Do you think that these hashtags exist? Do you think that black genocide could ever exist? Asian genocide? Brown genocide? Latin genocide? Do you think anybody would be okay with that? No. But someone at Twitter who has the ability to remove hashtags allows all of those things to trend regularly. And you'd be shocked at how much white to colored racism you'll find, because it's heavily policed. Colored to white racism is so overwhelming. I'm like, no wonder white people just yield and kill themselves. Like, I want you to wrap your minds around the word white extinction. And if you think I'm making this up, if you have to have Twitter, Google Twitter white extinction. Then what? I mean, I know a lot of people haven't caught up to this. And I can't say exactly what the next move is. Well, whatever the coming upheaval is, don't be down front dying first. Don't load your guns and go out swinging. That's not where society is yet. Shockingly close. BLM gets to burn cities down. A bunch of dorks march with tiki torches through Charlotte and burn nothing down, and it was Kristallnacht. BLM burns the whole damn nation down. Hey, whoever said that protests were supposed to be polite? I don't have the solution. I don't necessarily have the answer, other than we got to open our eyes, whites. Your genocide, your extermination is trending. Your children are being told to be white traitors. Stop sending your kids to school. Turn the TV off. Start doing push-ups. Start reading books again. Most importantly, share this video. Like it. Subscribe to me. Come down and talk to me. Because all this is probably going away soon. God bless you.